Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the NF Show. I'm your host for this week, Evan Campbell, and with me is actually nobody. I am here alone, hence the title of this episode, Single Player. And Noah unfortunately can't be here this week. He had an ankle injury over the weekend, has been in a lot of pain, and we actually tried to get him on the show. He devised a new way to be on the program, but we don't know if it was poor internet or what. That's part of the reason why the show's 15 minutes late. I'm sorry for that, but it wasn't working. We wouldn't have had him be able to be on camera. But please send your well wishes, send your good thoughts, send your prayers, whatever you want to call them, to Noah as he kind of recuperates from this. But he will be back, and he really wanted to be on the show tonight. We wish it could have worked, but he will be with us. I'm going to bring up some things. He helped with the show notes, so his opinions and thoughts won't be lost on this episode. But you're just going to have me for about 30 minutes. It shouldn't be too long of a show since I'm just talking by myself. It's the first time I've ever done this, and I decided I'm not going to do different characters and different voices for this episode. So happy Mario Kart week. Let's get into it. We got Mario Kart 8 coming out later this week. I'm pretty pumped about that. But also coming up this show, we have NFC figurines looking very likely in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and possibly 3DS. Will there be any third-party games for Wii U at E3? And then finally, we have a ton of your awesome feedback. Some people wrote in with some of their Wi-Fi connection memories. Some people are talking about Mario Kart. We also have a person that has impressions of Scram Kitty that's really cool. And let's see how those compare to Noah's, because I know he's still playing that. He won't be able to talk about it this week, but I'm sure he'll have even more impressions the next time he's on. But let's first talk about Smash Brothers. The cat is out of the bag, it seems like. I think it was a Nintendo France representative who said that NFC figurines will be part of Smash Brothers for Wii U, and I don't think this is surprising anyone. A lot of people were like, you know what, Smash Brothers will be using figurines. And if you look in the past, Sakurai he used AR cards a lot for Kid Icarus Uprising, so he's not a newcomer. This isn't something new of him actually having physical products that interact with his game, so it seems like a natural fit. Plus, there's actual trophies, standalone statues, in the past Smash Brothers game, so it makes perfect sense for those trophies to actually become statues. So Noah's guess is how this will be used, and I guess I should say that this hasn't been verified, but I think Nintendo UK or Nintendo Europe had a statement about NFC figurines are confirmed, but no games. It's some kind of like weird non-answer. NFC figurines are coming to Smash. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point. It was looking likely beforehand. Now it looks like the leak. We're going to see it in a couple weeks. So Noah's guesses he had were exclusive costumes for certain characters with the NFC figurines, maybe exclusive stages by having these NFC figures, saving of custom movesets, and that's something that's new to the series, actually, and they've talked about it where you wouldn't be able to use it competitively online, but you could have, like Mario's Fireball, would you want it to be larger, slower fireballs, or smaller, quicker fireballs, and maybe you can save your custom movesets onto that character, your favorite character. And I'm guessing he's thinking you could take that to his friend's house and you don't have to worry about going into the control options and figuring all that stuff out. I know for me personally, that's something whenever you go and play, and not that this happens a lot on games anymore, but if you ever play like a first-person shooter at someone's house, going into the settings, oh, I don't want inverted controls, or I don't want this. It's a cool idea where you have all those settings all saved on this figurine, and who knows exactly how big they'll be. But Noah's predicting that there will probably only be 1 to 3 characters available for the NFC figurines at launch, and I would say that's probably likely, but Nintendo definitely needs to have more than that. Just comparing it to Disney Infinity and Skylanders, you get 3 in the starter packs for those games, and then they have 3 packs of other characters. They have standalone characters. I really think if Nintendo is serious about the NFC figurines, I would say at the very least you're going to have 6. I think having around 10, roughly 10, is something that says, hey, we're here, we're serious about NFC figurines, and we're serious about this market. We're not going to just let Disney Infinity and Skylanders have it. This is going to be something that's going to be another cornerstone of our company. So what those characters, I mean, I think especially if it's working with Smash, we're going to see Mario, we're going to see Donkey Kong, and we're probably going to see Link. It'd be really cool if we saw, obviously, Peach. For Noah's sake, I'm sure he really wants Toad. He just loves Toad so much. There's no statues that I can think of off the top of my head, but the ones that are less likely that would be really cool because it works with Smash. Obviously, if there's someone like Ike who was just recently announced, or some of these characters from Fire Emblem. But since we know that these figures work with multiple games, I think since there have been multiple Mario games on the platform already, since there have been, you could argue, 2 Zelda games if you bring up Wind Waker HD plus the Link's Adventure and Nintendo Land, although I guess that's probably stretching it. But Donkey Kong obviously has his game, so I wonder if functionality will be able to be brought back in, and what kind of functionality that would be. But finally, Noah's thinking that the potential long-term expansion of the roster over months will be 3 or so extra characters. So Noah's being pretty conservative, and I understand that. We saw what Nintendo did with Pokemon Rumble U, and yes, that was a digital-only affair, but they only went through GameStop. I actually have never seen any of those Pokemon Rumble U NFC figurines in the wild before. So I'm really curious when Disney Infinity came out last year, you could go to a Target or go to a Walmart that week, and you could see the space that they were dedicating to this. So it wasn't only, I'm sure, Disney Interactive putting a lot of money behind the marketing, but the retailers were definitely behind what these products were going to move. And Nintendo definitely has problems with that. I think if you go in here in North America, if you go to Best Buy or a Target or any other main retailer, the space that's dedicated to Wii U, first off, a lot of the times it's mixed in with Wii games, and the same can be said for 3DS so much, but retailers aren't dedicating that much space to it, and that makes sense because it's not one of the best-selling consoles right now. So I'm curious how Nintendo goes about that and what they're willing to do with their products. I mean, this isn't just something where it's about the game with the NFC figurines. This is something about the presentation, the packaging, the rollout of characters. Are there going to be store-exclusive characters? How deep is Nintendo going to go into this? How much are they going to take something out of Disney's playbook or Activision's playbook? So even though that we know like these figurines might work with Smash Brothers or these other games, there's just so much more, because it's these figures, because they work outside of the games and because they have to be displayed so differently, there's so much more to it. And I'm guessing Nintendo's going to learn a lot of those headaches, or maybe that trial run with Pokemon Rumble U was part of the trial run where they learned some of those headaches. But finally, for me, the thought of NFC figurines on Smash Brothers, I'm someone who is a huge Melee player because of the competitive side of it. I'm someone that's going to be playing For Glory. I love saying that. Sakurai, that's a brilliant. For Glory online. I don't want to be locked out of content because I don't buy these figures. I'm not someone. I'm sure if there's a really awesome figure, I might buy one, but I'm not someone who wants a bunch of figures necessarily where I have to have them close to my gamepad to play. If it was one, maybe that's okay. And I'm not someone that is looking to have a bunch of figures just in my house. I'm not. Unlike Brett, I'm not someone that has a bunch of stuff, although I think you can see if you're watching on YouTube, I do have like a little Ninja Turtle figure back there with my Mario hat in the background. So it's not something I'm like, oh, no figures whatsoever. I'm just not someone that wants to have to buy a bunch of figures to be able to play certain content on my games. I think that's my main concern, and Nintendo's been pretty good about that. I mean, how they approach DLC, how they approach other things. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm guessing that this will be more of an add-on than something that's locked away from other people. But all of this just raises so many questions, and it makes you wonder how much will Nintendo answer at E3. And they're not going to be able to do that all in the digital media event by any stretch of the imagination, I would guess, because it's going to be less than an hour. So how are they going to answer those questions? And how are they going to go about all this? It should be really exciting and give us a pretty good insight into where they plan on taking this and how the NFC figurines will expand to 3DS, because we know that they will be coming to 3DS next year. And also, if they're coming to Smash Brothers, is the NFC figurines, will they work with Smash Brothers next year, or is it just too late for that? So I feel like we get confirmation of the NFC figurines in Smash, and instead of answering it, it answers a question about, well, here's one product it's going to work with, but more than anything, it raises so many questions about how to be utilized by Nintendo. So just another exciting thing to look forward to at E3. Now, on the flip side, something that isn't too exciting is Neil Ronahan, a friend of the show who's been a co-host. He got the scoop for Nintendo World Report. He's also an NF Magazine staffer, that Ubisoft won't have any Nintendo platform games at E3. That includes the 3DS, that includes Wii U. So are we surprised? I was able to talk to Noah about this online, and I talked to Neil. He was telling me about how bummed he was about that. And I've just got to say, I'm not too surprised. 3DS, basically Western third parties haven't supported the 3DS whatsoever. You've got your Nintendo games, you've got some Japanese third-party games coming over, but for the most part, it's eShop games, it's Nintendo first-party games. I can't remember the last time Electronic Arts released a game. Activision has done Skylanders in the past. Those have been the big games. Konami had Castlevania, what was it, early last year, or was it even earlier than that? I mean, so we're not getting the third-party games like we got with the DS. I mean, that is a big reason, I think, for one of the drop-offs. We don't have the Square Enix RPGs. We don't have EA. We don't have Ubisoft with... I mean, you can give them a hard time, but there were Assassin's Creed games for the DS. There also were the Pets games. So, I mean, the good with the bad, but it's such a dramatically different landscape. And for Wii U specifically, I would just say if you're expecting third-party surprises, you're most likely going to be disappointed. Nintendo is going to focus on first party. It's going to be similar to last year, hopefully a little more exciting, hopefully a little more surprises. But there wasn't really much third-party wise last year at E3. I mean, I'm sure there were some ports of games like Assassin's Creed 4 that may have been playable for Wii U, but other than that, I mean, their Nintendo Direct, I don't think one third-party game was mentioned for Wii U, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. It'd be cool if Nintendo highlighted maybe Skylanders or something, but now that they're in the NFC figurine business, maybe they're not going to do that. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but infamously, I think Activision wanted to show Guitar Hero World Tour at E3 one year because obviously it was Vicarious Visions. Sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that. I don't have Noah here to correct me on that, but they wanted to show Guitar Hero because they were doing so much cool with the Wii console, and Guitar Hero was a major seller on Nintendo's Wii back then, and this would be a big scoop for... I mean, think about that. I'm sure a lot... Microsoft and Sony are going to these third parties wanting to pay them or figure out deals to get them on stage. You have the biggest brand at the time coming to Nintendo saying, we want to show this game at your press conference, and Nintendo said, no, we already have Wii Music, so we're not going to do that. So it makes you wonder, you know that Skylanders and Disney Infinity do well on Nintendo platforms, and it would seem smart to showcase those because they're probably not going to get coverage at Sony or Microsoft's press conference, though that could change. They haven't in the past that I'm aware of. So I just think in general, 3DS surprises, Wii U surprises, I don't know if you're going to see much third-party stuff at all, and I'm not trying to be dire by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really just not different from what we've seen the past couple of years. What Nintendo is just going to have to focus on, and we've talked about this, stressed it in the past. Their first-party lineup, yes, they as always they need to bring it, but they really need to focus on those indie games. They really need to bring it with those. They need eShop games. They need to give spotlight to those because those unique experiences, you've just got to hope one of those takes off or something there, because we're not going to see Electronic Arts come back to the Wii U. Ubisoft, we may just see the Just Dance franchise from here on out. I know people think Mario Kart's coming, it's going to do a lot. Mario Kart could reinvigorate the Wii U to an extent, yes, but third parties have not seen sales for a year and a half. Some have already just stopped developing for the platform. I don't think that could ever return. And it's unfortunate. It reminds me of the GameCube days when third parties kind of stopped dropping off. But even then, we got Madden games and stuff like that. So it'll be really curious to see what Nintendo's answers are if we have people bringing up where are your third-party games, where are the third-party partnerships for both platforms, and that's another thing that'll be, I don't want to call it that exciting because it's not exciting, but just curious to see how they answer that. And if anything, I'll say I'm 99.9%, you're not going to see anything third-party. But I will hope that we see with 3DS has traction in the United States. It has traction worldwide at this point. It's probably around 45 million, and Nintendo plans for year-over-year sales to be pretty steady. I'm curious if we might see a third party. Maybe we'll see Konami with another Castlevania game or something from that, or Capcom. We know Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is coming. Do they have any other games that are coming 3DS? So hopefully we see something like that, and I think that's where you should kind of have your fingers crossed or be excited about, because I think that is more likely. Good news on the Wii U, though, is that Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, I believe, is coming out this week. I think it's out right now if you're in Europe. It'll most likely come out this Thursday on the Wii U. Another Game Boy Advance game. I've actually never played it, but apparently, or I've played it for like 5 or 10 minutes. I just never got too much into the handheld games early on. It's something that I have later, and maybe now I can play it. I also have on my 3DS. Like many of you, you're probably an ambassador, so you got that game for free. Noah let me know it's a gem of a game, so he's always been a big handheld Zelda fan. So I'm sure he's excited. I'm curious if he'll end up double dipping and picking that up. And it's just good to see the Game Boy Advance Virtual Console on the Wii U having some longevity. And I'm curious if we'll get more information, if Nintendo will talk about the Virtual Console at E3. I know a lot of people are hoping that Nintendo's like, boom, GameCube's here, here's 5 games. I think more than likely it could be DS games are rolling out right away, but that's another area it'd be really cool to see them address at E3. Some other news tidbits, everything's getting a little quiet. We're having some leaks here and there. We're getting so close to E3. It usually slows down a bit to a grind, and then E3 week in 2 weeks, it's just going to be crazy with all the news coming out. But a couple of things. For one, there is going to be a new 2DS color that's going to come out along with Tomodachi Life, and that is a sea green 2DS. So I have to admit, I think sea green is a terrible name. Sea green does not, it's just not pleasant to me, that name at all. Sea green just makes me think of an uglier water. Sea blue makes sense to me, but sea green, something about that just doesn't sit with me. And I'm someone who loves the ocean and loves the sea. And maybe it's just saying someone's green when they're on the sea means they're sick. So I don't understand the name. That said, I think the color looks really great. I like the sea green 2DS. I'm someone who thinks the 2DS, it's definitely weird. It has this chunky plastic look, and I'm pretty sure Noah's pretty grossed out by the 2DS, but I could be wrong. But there's something about it, and I understand if you don't like the 2DS by any stretch of the imagination, but I like how the 2DS looks. I have to admit, and the sea green 2DS, it's something that I would probably get, and I don't even need it, but the problem is there's not an account system since everything's held to your platform. So it's something, I don't know, maybe I'll get one, but I think the sea green 2DS is really cool. Be sure to check it out. The final news tidbit is Hyrule Warriors is no longer a tentative name. Unceremoniously, Nintendo, a lot of news came out of Japan. I think Tecmo Koei's publishing Hyrule Warriors there. So we got some screenshots. We got some information that Impa will be a playable character, which is really awesome. And it sounds like there'll be other playable characters that we may not expect. Really exciting stuff. It comes out August 14th in Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it August time here in North America and Europe as well. But Nintendo kind of wanted to just answer yes, it will be at E3, and it sounds like it is Hyrule Warriors. I've seen a couple of people wonder, if that's a smart thing for Nintendo to do. Nowhere is Legend of Zelda in the title. So on one hand, you can say, well, this definitely showcases that it's a spin-off. It's not going to mess up any more timelines. We don't have to associate it if you're someone that kind of looks down upon the spin-off. On the other hand, will people know what Hyrule Warriors is if you're going to buy the game? Will Link be enough for people to put two and two together? So I think that naming convention is intriguing a few different ways. But that is going to be all for the main topics of the show. I know we usually do what we're playing and everything, but since I'm here alone, I don't want to get where I'm just talking about everything I'm playing without any feedback. And honestly, the past week, there's been some cool new stuff like the Hyrule Warriors, like the NFC figurines, but it's all been pretty slow. So I want to get into your feedback, but before I do, I want you to know that, like I've said, E3 keeps popping up, and it keeps popping up as I talk. Next week, really exciting, E3 predictions time, something that I love doing with Noah. We like to do crazy predictions. We like to see who can be more right. But we want to hear your predictions as well. So please leave a comment if you're watching YouTube right below me. Leave your comments, leave your E3 predictions. Or if you're listening to the audio feed, if you're listening to the audio feed, be sure to, you can jump on YouTube and leave a comment, or you can email us at show@nfmagazine.com. But with that, let's get into last week's feedback. We have a ton of great stuff, starting off with a couple of emails. The first one is from Mario Man 311. He's talking about his favorite Mario Kart memories, which Noah and I talked about last week. He said, one of my favorite Mario Kart memories was one that I do not remember fondly. I was racing on Bowser's Castle, and I was almost guaranteed first place, but I was being very cocky and stopped right in front of the finish line on the third lap. I was unprepared, and a racer came up behind and stole first place. I'm sure a lot of people out there have similar memories or frustrations. I'm pretty sure Mario Kart Wii, for example, I don't know if I ever beat all of the single player, because in the 150cc, I got hit by, in one course, I think 2 or 3 blue shells, and I was like, no more. I will not play single player on here anymore, getting hit by that many blue shells. And I think I've heard that Mario Kart 7 was definitely better. I think I've heard that Mario Kart 8 has kind of done a course correct there. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have had those frustrations. I for sure have had similar experiences. But Mario Man also went on to say, also, I am very interested in what Nintendo will do for DLC for Super Smash Bros. Now that the NFC figurines can be used. I am also wondering what the wired fight pad looks like, because I recently got into Melee last year, awesome, and found the controller quite preferable. So preferable, I got an adapter that plugs into the Wii remote and gives a GameCube or a Nintendo GameCube port. Keep up the great work. So that's something we didn't bring up earlier, and I keep referring to Wii. It's because I think Noah's here. It's not an almighty Wii as in myself, so I apologize for that. But we heard that, I believe it is PDP, in a partnership with Nintendo, is making a wired fight pad. So it plugs into the Wii remote and is supposed to have a GameCube-like design, although we haven't seen any pictures of that. But a lot of people prefer playing Super Smash Bros. With a GameCube controller. That's just what they're used to. So it'll be really exciting to see what PDP has there. So thank you so much for writing in, Mario Man 311. And our next email comes from Adolf Vega, who says, okay, remember Mario 3 on Game Boy Advance had the e-reader cards? Expand that out on Wii U, and this is my idea for NFC Mario Wii U game. Super Mario All-Stars HD. This includes Mario 1, 2, 3, World, and Lost Levels, with super pretty graphics, with a united graphical theme between games, and fully orchestrated music with up to 4 players, and each game has an extra world and a make a level, share level, upload level to YouTube option. And the kicker is scanning NFC figurines into the games adds to the gameplay with characters and power-ups not normally found in the game. Want to play Raccoon Mario in Mario 2? Just scan the NFC feather statue. Want to play Yoshi in Mario 1? Just scan the NFC statue. Want to play as Kirby in Super Mario Lost Levels? just scan the NFC statue. Just imagine the insane awesomeness of Mario 3 with 4 players. One person playing as Donkey Kong riding Yoshi, another person playing as Peach with a hammer suit, another person playing as Kirby who just floats around the screen. Thoughts, reactions, how hard would this be to program? So my first thoughts, super creative out of Fega. I think it's really cool to have this idea, especially the make a level, share a level, upload level for the YouTube option. I feel like a level editor for new Super Mario Brothers games is just long overdue, and on one hand I'm surprised we haven't seen it. On another, it's just one of those things where it's like, well, it's Nintendo. I don't mean to be dismissive about that, but they just do such a, they're peculiar about how they handle their online content in a lot of games. I'm curious if Nintendo, I think one of the big things for this is I don't think we're going to see something like a feather statue. I think we're going to see their core IP characters. I would be surprised if we saw Samus, basically, from Metroid. So I think we're going to stick to Mario, Donkey Kong. I would say Yoshi would be like a second tier or third tier character, and I don't mean anything against Yoshi or Toad or any of those other people, but I think they'll stick to the big ones first, the Marios, the Peach, the Links, the Donkey Kongs. I'm not quite sure how willing Nintendo is to take the Mario, the classic 2D games, and throw in all these characters. They definitely have a set criteria for what goes into those games. And this isn't back with like the Game Boy Marios where they would just throw in whatever. I'm sure there's a huge rule book or guideline to what can go into 2D Mario. So I'm curious if they would let that kind of stuff go in. Now, on the other hand, could we see some kind of NES remix, Super Nintendo remix that utilizes these NFC figurines? I think that would be onto something, and I could see something similar to what you're thinking, where it's more of you can remix the game how you want with the figurines you have, and I think that could be a really cool option. So thanks a lot, Adolf Vega, for the really creative email you sent it in. It was really fun to read through that. Now let's get into some of your YouTube comments. The first one from WeeMan63, he said, hopefully there will be a new Metroid 3DS game, and I'm guessing he's talking about E3. I concur. Hopefully there is a new Metroid game. For 3DS Wii U, I just want some new Metroid. From Sonic Tonic, he wrote in and said, another good episode, guys, always making me smile. As for Mario Kart, I too am disappointed there's no arena-style battle mode this time, but the rest of the game, the meat of the game, looks so incredible, I think I can get over it. I'll cross my fingers Nintendo has a way to add arenas later on via DLC for battle mode. But in the meantime, I will enjoy the most gorgeous, fastest Mario Kart yet. So a little news on that front. I know Noah was really bummed out, but last I heard, and I talked to him today, he will be getting Mario Kart 8. So we'll have to see what he thinks with battle mode. I'm sure we'll try it out. We're planning on playing some this weekend. If we can set up a tournament or anything, we'll probably throw, I don't know how they're handling it. I'm guessing there's community codes like there were with Mario Kart 7. If you want to follow either of us on Twitter, I am at Evan Campbell. Noah is at This Is Noah. If we play, we'll throw that up over the weekend so you all can join in. But I, too, Sonic Tonic, am looking forward to Mario Kart 8. It is exciting Mario Kart week. I'm really curious to see the Mario Kart bundle get out there and see if I have any other friends pick up a Wii U. The ones that do have it are very excited. I think one friend's even taking off work Friday so he can race around with Mario and Yoshi and Peach and Rosalina all day long. Our next comment is from Eric R. He said, my favorite Nintendo Wi-Fi connection memories would have to be GoldenEye 007. And if you're like me, I first read this sentence and was like, wait, GoldenEye wasn't on Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. We're talking about the Activision GoldenEye game. So the remake, if you will. And he says, I was part of the generation that loved the original on the Nintendo 64. Me too, Eric. So to get to play it again on Wii with a fun online component was awesome. Luckily, the game has a split-screen mode, so the multiplayer shenanigans can continue. Can't agree more, Eric. I think GoldenEye 007 was definitely overlooked in a lot of cases. It came out a little later in the Wii U's life cycle, but it was a fantastic game. I think the the ranking system in that game was kind of skewed a little too hard. It felt like it took forever to level up. But I thought GoldenEye was just such a fantastic game. The single player and the multiplayer was really fun on there. Our next comment is from Axel Droxler. He said, "Hey guys, quick impressions about Scram Kitty. I'm currently TV-less, so I've only been playing on the gamepad, but it seems to make no difference as the TV is only used to display little bits of advice from Scram Kitty. I find the game particularly unforgiving, especially the jumping platforming aspect of it. After only a few levels, you're expected to master pixel-perfect jumps, and I feel like the difficulty curve should have been smoother. I'm also surprised by the emphasis placed on jumping as opposed to shooting. I didn't get very far, so I'll have to push myself to play more, as it is pretty discouraging. By the way, Noah, it may be too late to help you out, but from what I've gathered, the higher your health bar, the further you can jump. Therefore, if your health is too low, there are obstacles you can't get past, so go back and collect a couple health power-ups." So I really have to pick this game up. I haven't played it yet, but I feel like I really need to check this out. It just sounds so intriguing to me. I know people are frustrated. I'm curious if I will have that same frustration, or I like the idea that they don't spell these things out to you, but maybe it's to the point where it's too obtuse. And it's unfortunate Noah's not here to talk about it as he's been playing more. So if you're playing Scram Kitty, please let us know, just like Axel Droxler did. And please continue to give us your updated feedback, Axel. We really appreciate you writing in. The next comment is from Portageurs1808, who writes in a lot. He says, "It was great to hear about all of your Mario Kart memories. I wish I had more myself, but since I never lived around anyone who played video games on a regular basis, I never had a reason to buy any multiplayer games like Mario Kart. I did pick up Mario Kart Wii when I learned about online multiplayer, but I could never play in online races because I had lousy internet. These days, my internet is better, but it's still kind of unstable, and that worries me. After playing the Mario Kart 8 demo at GameStop, though, I really wanted to get the full game. And I'm not sure if I want to spend $60 on it, or if my internet is just going to randomly disconnect me from online races. But if I do get the game, I would love to play against you guys and your other fans." So I totally understand that, Portageurs. I hope your internet is better. I, for one, am just worried about the online in general, like sending invites to people, or can I join up with my friends in the lobby and then we go into a public match, or are we basically relegated to a private match? Those are some of my main concerns as I go into Mario Kart 8 this week. The next comment is from Cody B. He said, "Since Mario Kart 8 is quickly approaching us, and because this episode focused on the fond memories we have had over the years, I came up with this poem in honor of the occasion. With that said, please enjoy." So here's a poem from Cody B. He said, "Rev up your engine, 'cause I'm coming for you, with bananas, bob-ombs, and even a blooper or two. So now you're in the lead, thinking you'll win this race. Oh no, was that a blue shell? Now you're in last place. As glory and fame disappear out of your sight, I cross the finish line first in cheerful delight. The race now over seemed like it had barely begun. Until we meet again, thanks for all the great fun." So very well done, Cody. Thank you so much for that awesome poem. We really appreciate it, and hopefully that gets everyone revved up for this week. And our final comment comes from Nintendo Dude GCN. He said, "Sounds like some great Wi-Fi and Mario Kart memories you guys have had. I have to agree that Metroid Prime Hunters had some outstanding online multiplayer. Definitely outshined the single-player offering. As for the other Wi-Fi memories, I vividly remember racing others around the world on Mario Kart DS as well. As for Mario Kart memories, I own all the games getting Mario Kart 8 on release day and have put many hours into each of them. I have to agree that Mario Kart 64 had a wonderful battle mode and was just spectacular overall. I think the Double Dash's battle mode was even better because of the great battle courses. Gotta love fighting on top of the GameCube. I forgot all about that, but now I remember it. And the Bob-omb mode. But the GameCube battling, Nintendo Dude, I totally forgot about that. That was super awesome. But that finishes up feedback for this week. Remember, once again, next week we're doing our prediction show. We want to hear your predictions, so you can leave your comment here in the YouTube comments, or you can send us an email at show@nfmagazine.com. And with that, that is going to wrap up. It is the first single-player only episode of the NF Show. Hopefully the last, because it's so much fun to have one of the wonderful co-hosts, and hopefully we'll have many more new co-hosts from NF Magazine and everything in the future. But I appreciate you joining and listening to me go on and on for about 30 minutes or now. Hopefully you're not too tired of my voice at this point. But remember, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already so you can always get our videos. Tell your friends about our channel. There's also now an NF Show playlist, so if you want to listen to us talk for probably 20 hours now, you can just go on there, click, it'll go through all of our videos. Please also review us on iTunes. We are on iTunes. The show goes live every Wednesday. We've noticed that if you subscribe, you'll get the latest episodes, but if you just look at the NF Show feed, it looks like it hasn't been updated. It is updated every week. You just hit the subscription button. You'll get the newest episode in audio-only format on iTunes every Wednesday, roughly morning, afternoon there. But review us. That is one way that we can be more in the spotlight if you give us our reviews. And please be honest with your reviews. You know, I'm not going to ask for 5 stars if you don't think we deserve 5 stars, and let us know. We try to go in there and check out your criticisms, your thoughts, so we can make the NF Show better each week. And finally, like I talked about before, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Evan Campbell, and you can also follow the NF Magazine official Twitter account. It is at Nintendo Force. The latest issue of NF Magazine is incoming issue number 9. You can look for it very soon. We're putting the finishing touches on it, and it's going to be another spectacular issue for everyone. So you can look for that in your mailboxes the next couple of weeks, and I'm guessing that the digital-only edition will be incoming this week, so you'll have something awesome to read as you wait for E3. But that's going to be it for episode 19 of the NF Show Single Player. I want to thank you all so much for joining me, and don't forget to send your well wishes and thoughts to Noah as he recovers from his ankle injury, and we'll hopefully get him back on here next week. Thanks so much for joining, everyone.